Program does not necessarily reflect the opinions and viewpoints of the staff and management of this station.
Welcome to the wonderful world of seniors, the best of all worlds. You now have the time, resources, and ability to enjoy what you have worked for all your life. So let's explore the many possibilities available to seniors on Senior World Radio. Senior World Radio is your source for senior citizens-related topics, information, and entertainment. Now, here is your host of Senior World Radio, Glenn Howard.
So glad you're joining us today on Senior World Radio, where seniors are young at heart and twice as smart. We've got a lady here today I think you're going to enjoy hearing from. She is with the Edmond Moble Meals program. Her name is Piper Riggs. I met Piper the other day. We were having a pancake breakfast up in Edmond, raising money for the Senior Moble Meals program, and got a chance to visit with her and liked some of the things she was talking about. Wanted to come on and tell you, seniors today truly are very blessed. We've got people today with, they're living longer, they've got greater resources, they've got more opportunities, but there's a lot of them who are struggling. And the ability to provide food and meet all the necessities becomes a little bit difficult, and we've got some wonderful people who are really interested in helping out, and we just like to promote them and talk about them and give you a chance to get to know them. And Piper is one of those people. Piper Riggs, Executive Director of the Edmond Moble Meals Program. Piper, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's so good to have you, and I was very impressed the other day with your excitement about what all you're doing in helping provide the mobile meals for people, particularly in the Edmond area. Let's begin with just tell me a little bit about the Mobile Meals program, what it does and how it works.
Okay. Right now we are currently serving a little over 200 people each day. We deliver a noontime meal. It consists of, just your basic meal, protein, vegetable, a carbohydrate of some sort. We have a little over 350 volunteers who deliver those meals each day for us. On staff, we have 3 individuals on staff right now, and 5 or 6 volunteers that help in the kitchen.
Okay. Now, do you actually prepare the meals yourselves, or is this something you have commercially done, or what's the process that you go through to actually get the food ready?
Well, we have a full-time food service coordinator, and her main job is to order the food for each day. She plans all of our menus. She does inventory for us. So her, along with 5 to 6 volunteers, prepare the meal in-house every day. We don't use any sort of catering service. They're all home-cooked meals, and using as many fresh products as we possibly can.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about you, though. How did you ever get involved in something like this, Piper?
Well, I was a part of a Leadership Edmond class a couple years ago, and the Leadership Edmond class, they spend one day a month learning about different things throughout the city of Edmond. And one of our days, we spend learning about the different nonprofits throughout Edmond. So some people may go to the Hope Center, some people may go to EARC. I was assigned Edmond Mobile Meals that day. And part of being in the Leadership Edmond class is you take over every single route for Edmond Mobile Meals and deliver all the meals. So I was a volunteer that day. That's the first time that I had ever heard about Edmond Mobile Meals. And just to back up a little bit, I actually delivered meals. I'm originally from Chickasha, and used to deliver meals with one of my friend's moms who was a part of the program in Chickasha. So I already knew about the concept. So after I delivered meals that day in Edmond, fell in love with the program. I began volunteering. Volunteered for a little over 9 months, and when the job came open, I decided to apply for it, and the rest is history.
So a lady from Chickasha is directing the Mobile Meals program in Edmond. I think that's fantastic. I really do. You know, there is something, though, about the idea of feeding people that just really touches the core of everybody's heart worldwide. I think one of the most significant experiences that I've ever had, we were living overseas. I lived in Budapest, Hungary for 10 years and was working with the International Association of Churches for Europe and the Middle East. And once each year, we got all of the ministers together and spent a week just kind of talking about what was going on in our cities and in our world. And we had an old boy who, frankly, he wasn't the most impressive guy as far as I was concerned. He was a chain smoker, and I don't smoke. And, I'm one of those guys that I don't like anybody else to smoke because I don't smoke. He also, though, had not been the friendliest guy to me, but he shared a story that just really impacted me in an incredible way. He was living in Moscow, Russia. His name was John Moline. He was pastor of the International Church, and he was reading the Bible story about how Jesus had fed the 5,000 and said, we ought to try to do something like this. At that particular time, this was back in the 90s, Russia was going through a difficult time, and there were a lot of elderly people who were really going hungry. So he mentioned this to some of his men, and they said, well, yeah, it'd be nice if we would feed these seniors, but said, there are a bunch of restaurants here in Moscow that are having a hard time surviving. Maybe we can contract with them and let them feed the meal. And so the idea developed, and they finally went to the government. They got the names of all of these elderly people who was needing food and the restaurants who agreed to do it at the price. And so they started preparing the food, started feeding, and John got an idea. He had a bunch of black people in his church there. Now, in Russia, segregation is still practiced a whole lot more than it is other places around the world. And John got the idea he was going to have his black students actually serve the seniors their meals, which the idea of, somebody waiting on them and showing them attention was just something that was unbelievable. So as they started preparing the meals, the black students were serving it to them with all of the humor and excitement that they could bring. That program began to build. Ladies got excited about it. In fact, one gal jumped up and grabbed one of these guys and gave him a big old kiss on the cheek. And but the thing that impressed me was as they began talking about it, people just voluntarily started sending money in to them. And they began to feed, and Piper, I'm not exaggerating, they began feeding 50,000 meals per day.
Oh, wow.
I sat there with tears running down my cheek, and I said, in a prayer, I said, God, I've never smoked in my life. I'm certainly thought of myself as a better person than John, but I said, I have never fed 50,000 people in my lifetime. And that was one of the most meaningful experiences to me, to realize when you're feeding people, you're touching the very core of our existence. And for you and for your group to go out on a daily basis like this and to provide food, only 200 people, but hey, that's 200 people, 200 individuals that you're helping on a daily basis. That's got to be a gratifying experience for you.
Oh, it is. And, we're meeting a fundamental need that everyone has by providing a meal. But, I think if you were to ask one of our volunteers what they were really doing on a daily basis, they're providing community for a group of individuals who have lost theirs for some reason. So, the requirement to be on our program is that these individuals are homebound, and being homebound obviously lends itself to many things, loneliness being one of them, and just a feeling of insecurity. And our drivers are able to fill the gap for many of these individuals. I actually had a conversation last week with a 92-year-old man who he's a World War II in the Air Force. He fought in World War II, and I really got to know this gentleman. Even though I went over there to sign him up for the program, I think you always get more than what you bargain for in these
yes.
volunteer situations. And he not only shared information about the time that he was in World War II, but about his family. He had lost his wife 8 years ago, and he at one point decided to recite a poem that he had written about his wife, and he had tears streaming down his face. I had tears streaming down my face. But delivering a meal is just one part of what we do. And, helping people feel like they're part of a community again is the important piece for us. And obviously, anytime we see someone that may have some kind of health problem, being those eyes and ears for family members who can't be there on a daily basis and letting them know, hey, I saw your mom today and, she didn't walk as quickly to the door as normal. We just want to make sure that everything's okay. That's so important for families to have. We had a volunteer one time who came in our office and he wanted to know how to get started volunteering for the program. And so, of course, we got all the paperwork out, explained what he needed to do. And the very last question on the form is, how did you hear about Moble Meals? And he said, well, my family or my parents receive Moble Meals, but they're in Georgia. And their community is taking care of them. And so I felt like it was my duty to take care of the people in my community. And you just get a real sense of love, really, that our volunteers have for a group of individuals who may have been forgotten at some point.
Piper, if somebody wanted to become a volunteer, how would they get in touch with you?
They're welcome to call our office. Our phone number is 341-3111. They can talk to anyone that's on staff there. There's 3 simple forms that they would need to fill out. We do a background check on all of our volunteers. And so as soon as they got all of the paperwork filled out and we got the background check back in, we could get them plugged into wherever they wanted to volunteer.
Okay, now that telephone number one more time. Get your pencil and paper. Write this number down if you would like to be a volunteer. And even if you live in Norman, Moore, someplace else, I would imagine Piper can put you in touch with whoever's director of the food programs in the various communities around. So give her a call and just talk to her. Tell her what you're interested in doing and let her help you out a little bit. That telephone number is 341-3111. We got to take a break. I'm Glenn Howard, Senior World Radio, visiting with Piper Riggs, Executive Director of the Edmond Moble Mills. We're coming right back, so please don't go away.
You're nobody till somebody loves you.
Have you ever had a problem, but it seemed like there was no one who could help? You spent hours calling around, being referred from one place to the next. Well, not anymore. I want to tell you about a free and easy-to-use service in Oklahoma. 211 is a simple 3-digit phone number to get help or to give help when you don't know where to turn. Dialing 211 only takes a minute, and you are connected with a caring Oklahoman who will help you find the assistance you've been looking for. With access to over 13,000 programs, Heartline 211 can connect you to local resources for many different needs, including health care, food, counseling, rent assistance, disability assistance, job services, and much more. 211 is a service of Heartline, a United Way partner agency. 211, the right first call to get help or give help 24 hours a day.
Hi, my name's Jason Ledlow, president of UT Phone, the ultimate telephone service. We're proud to be a sponsor of Senior World Radio with Glenn Howard. UT Phone is dedicated to providing Oklahomans affordable telephone service all across our great state. We have Lifeline Home Phone service starting at just $1.95. That's right, just $1.95, and most of Oklahoma's seniors qualify for this reduced home phone service. They get to keep their old home phone number, and it even includes long distance. Another great feature of UT Phone's customers really like is that it includes repair service. That's right, any repairs at no additional charge. With many telephone services charging $40 to $50 per month, it makes sense to switch your service to UT Phone. This service is a federal program that is provided through the Universal Service Fund. There is only one per household, so make it UT Phone's home phone service for $1.95. Give us a call at 800-996-0098. Again, call 800-996-0098.
I've made up my mind.
And welcome back to Senior World Radio. I'm Glenn Howard, visiting today with Piper Riggs. Piper is the executive director of the Edmond Moble Mills up in Edmond, Oklahoma. I met Piper the other day. We were having a pancake breakfast, raising money for the Senior Community Foundation. She was there helping us serve everybody, and people were excited about the idea. Not only were we eating good pancakes, but we were also helping provide resources for others. Piper lives in the great metropolis of Chickasha, but drives up to Edmond to serve the seniors. And the idea you were talking about, Piper, of being able to go out and to serve meals to 200 people in Edmond every day who are homebound, has got to be a very rewarding experience. We had a lady on our show here a while back. In fact, one of the sponsors is this telephone 211 phone number. And, you know, they do such a great job, but all of their work is over the telephone. If somebody is lonely or having problems or needs information or whatever the case may be, even 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, they wake up and need to talk to somebody, call 211. We're all familiar with 911, but 211 is a tremendous program, and it's very meaningful to be able to talk to somebody, but to actually go into their home, to meet them, to get to know them, to get to know their family. I can't imagine why you don't have a bunch of people calling in to volunteer for something like this. And let's give people, again, that telephone number. If you want to become a volunteer for the Edmond Moble Meal Program, give Piper a call. It's Piper Riggs. Her telephone number is 341-3111. And even if you live in Moore or Norman or Chickasha or Shawnee, I'll bet she can give you the phone number and tell you the person to contact in those areas. But Piper, as you've been doing this, share with me a little bit about some of the impact this has had, first of all, on the people who receive the meals, what it means to them, and secondly, what it means to those people who actually go around and knock on a door and with a smile hand a meal to somebody. That's got to be rewarding.
Oh, it definitely is. And I think, starting with your first question, for our clients, sometimes our volunteers are the only people that they see during the day, or the only people that they talk to. And you wouldn't believe the number of phone calls and thank you cards that we get from our clients just saying, I love the meals, your volunteers are so kind. Something really neat that we do is we send a birthday gift on all of our clients' birthdays. It has just a few little things inside the gift, and then they get an individual cookie cake. And we always ask our volunteers to sing happy birthday on those days, and whether they want to or not, it's up to them. But, for some, there's no one else celebrating that person's birthday. And birthdays are a big deal. They're a special occasion. And so that's one thing that we have loved to do over the years. We also, another part of our program is we send out magazines once a week. And we have a lot of clients who enjoy getting these magazines. It's, something else from the outside world, maybe that they're not connected to anymore. For our volunteers, this is the highlight of their week. We don't lose volunteers often because they love coming to Moble Meals. We have some volunteers there. In fact, we have one lady who comes every Monday morning who's been there for 40 years. We celebrated our 40th anniversary on April 22nd this year, and she has been there for every single year of that. And that's such a testament to what our program does. Our volunteers believe in the mission. They believe in the program and what it's doing and how it's helping the people in Edmond.
You're talking about the problem of loneliness, and I know sometimes we on the outside look in and feel like that people who are lonely is because nobody cares, no family. That is not necessarily the truth. In fact, in many times, mom and dad, lived here, dad's died, the kids have gotten married, and they may be living in California or New York or any place else, and they really care, they really love, they do everything they can, but they're very limited. And Frankly, that's one reason why I am very delighted with one of our sponsors that has sponsored this show, the UT Phone Company, that provides discount phone service to seniors. And if they qualify and it's a low income, they can actually get telephone service as cheap as $1 a month. But it allows family to stay in touch with the person. And it's so important. It's so wonderful to do it. But the ability to actually have somebody walk in the door, smile on their face, asking how you're doing, giving them food, that's got to be very rewarding. You mentioned your volunteers, you don't lose them. Do they do it every day? Do you have a different volunteer each day? Do they work 5 days a week, each individual volunteer? What if a person volunteered, what would be expected of them?
It's really up to each individual person. So we have volunteers who they may deliver meals once a month for us. And then we have volunteers who are there 2 or 3 times a week. There's many ways to volunteer. You can drive one of our 15 routes, help in the kitchen. We always need help in our office as well. And so people just kind of find what they are interested in doing, and we help with that. We help plug them in to something that they feel like they're contributing, can contribute best to.
15 routes, 200 people fed daily in Edmond. I can't even imagine what it would be in the greater Oklahoma City area when you start adding all the other communities around. And this is truly grassroots level, isn't it? People caring for people.
Yeah, definitely. And, something that we're trying to do right now is expand our program. Like you said, there are so many individuals in Oklahoma City who need the service. I think the last thing I heard was there are 700 people on a waiting list to get into a program like this.
700 people waiting. And there's no shortage of food. It's got to be a shortage of volunteers.
Well, I think it's a shortage of funding. I think, whenever you look across the board at how much it costs to feed, even just in Edmond, our 200 people a day, we currently don't have a waiting list. We've been very lucky that we've been able to keep up with the increased demand. But something that we'd like to do is help those programs out that do have the waiting list. We have such great support from the city of Edmond as a whole, right. And think that we could really branch out and help those individuals who may need the meals now, that they really can't wait 6 months to get the meals. So.
Let me suggest to all of our listeners, if this touches your heart, if you'd like to become a part of it, first of all, please give Piper a call. Her telephone number again is 341-3111. Or I'd love to have you call me. If you'll call me, let me give you my phone number. We'll be glad to put you in touch with not only Piper, but with some of these others, and also some of the programs you can get involved in. We've been trying to get people to call in for the last few weeks to recommend some of these incredible seniors that we've been interviewing, people we've talked to. In fact, every once in a while I run to people who still talk about the folks up in Woodward that we visited with the other day who went through that tornado 67 years ago. And we like to tell the stories of seniors. So if you got a pencil and paper, please write down my telephone number. Give me a call. Recommend somebody that you think would be an interesting story for us to tell. Or if you want more information about Piper or the Edmond Moble Meals Program or some of the others, please give me a telephone call. Now, mine is a Watts number, so you can call from any place in the state, absolutely free. And my number is 877-875-0990. Once again, now that's 877-875-0990. Piper, you mentioned a moment ago, yes, you do need volunteers. You need drivers. You need people who will go out and actually deliver food. But you mentioned you need money, not only Edmond, but each of these areas. What does it cost to provide a meal for a shut-in senior per meal one day? What would that cost me approximately?
So our price per meal is about $5.15, and whenever we sign someone up for the program, if they can contribute something per meal, we always ask. We never force anyone to contribute anything per meal. We give a suggested amount, and then we also have 20% of our clients currently that can't afford to pay anything
at all.
And so we just, when we have individuals like this, we do a lot of fundraising. Like I said, we've been really lucky that we have great support from the city of Edmond as a whole. We do a lot of grant writing to cover some of those meals. But we are always looking for different ways to help cover the cost of getting the meals out to as many people as need the program as possible.
$26 a week would provide a hot meal every day of that week to someone who is shut in and can't get out. Piper, that's a bargain.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of us will go out and pay $20, $25 for one meal for ourselves, and I can't speak for anybody else, but for myself, I probably need to do less of those, drop a little bit of weight, but to help somebody out who is in need, that's got to be a real gratifying situation. Now, you mentioned you have 15 routes. You're feeding 200 a day. You do need volunteers. You do need money. And each of these other areas do as well. So if you are someone who would like to get involved, why don't you give Piper a call? Let me give you her phone number again. It's 341-3111. 341-3111. I think, do you also have a website, Piper?
We do. It's www.edmondmoblemeals.org.
edmondmoblemeals.org. And in fact, if you don't want to call Piper, you can send her an email. I have her email address here. It's just piper@edmondmoblemeals.org. She'd love to hear from you. Piper, I'm so glad you came in. I'm so thankful for what you and hundreds of others are doing to care for people who are less fortunate. I mean, truly, it's a wonderful time to be a senior, but it makes it even better when you got people who care for you and just make things work. Thanks so much for coming in. I'm Glenn Howard, Senior World Radio. We've been visiting with Piper Riggs, Executive Director of the Edmond Mobile Meals. We got to get out of here. We'll be back again this same time next week. So until then, be kind to one another. Love somebody, especially yourself. See you next week now. Bye-bye.
I'm on the top of the world looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can